Hello everyone and welcome back to the SimRacingOnline RSS GT1. This is Series 2. It's been a long while since I've been able to introduce this series and I'm so glad to be back because last series was an absolutely thrilling affair. Alongside me in the commentary... Whoa, that is me speaking twice, my apologies. Whatever the case, I'm your commentator, Caitlin Penny, and joining me, alongside me in the commentary box, is Mac Shepherd. Hey there, Mac.
Hi everyone, yeah, long time no commentary. I'm feeling a little bit sick today, but thankfully I'm the second commentator, so I'm not going to be speaking all the time, unlike Caitlin. But yeah, GT cars, I've not commentated too much on these, but they look quite fun to drive.
To people watching along in the YouTube stream, it would be fantastic if you could tell us if our volumes are coming through okay, if you can hear us all right over the noise of the cars, if one of us is too loud or too quiet or cutting out or whatever. That would be very helpful. I think I'll probably say that again when we get more viewers joining along, but whatever the case, it's great to be back with the RSS GT1 series. I'm so glad that they decided to do a Series 2, because as I said, Series 1 was absolutely spectacular. I'm just looking back through the records actually, to see if I can find the results of Series 1 and see if I can see exactly how it went. And I'll give a quick recap of that once I find it. Whatever the case, we have some fantastic looking, fantastic sounding cars here today, as always. We have the Lamborghini Gallardo GT1, which you're watching here with Davide Ricciardi, currently top of the order. And we have as well, that is a Celine S7 that you're looking at, with pilot Pablo Fanotti, so Fanotti looking quick in his Celine. Let's look for someone else who's on track. Actually there, Johnny Gutierrez coming out of the pits in his Celine, his Lister Storm. Not many people know about the early 2000s Lister Storm GT1, but it's a fantastic looking car that spits flames as you downshift, has a massive rear wing, looks a bit older than it is in terms of its era, looks like 1980s or even early 90s or whatever, but still goes like the clappers. This is a Ferrari 550 GT1, driven by John van der Geest. That's one of our other cars that we have here today. I think the longest as well, definitely has the most overhang at the front. This is the only V10 car in the field, the Chrysler Viper GT1 V10, and I think that's all of our cars, unless I have missed a type. But whatever the case, fantastic looking, fantastic sounding, fantastic racing. Mac, what are you looking forward to most about this series?
I don't really know what to expect, to be honest. We'll have to see what the racing is like. Cars look amazing, they sound amazing. I've not seen much racing at Mosport. It looks like a very fast and flowing circuit, so we'll need to see how the racing is. But yeah, it should be interesting. I hope it surprises me, let's just say that.
Totally, it's a track with a lot of prestige. It's been holding motor races and important events since 1961 when it opened, including the Grand Prix. There were actually a few Formula 1 Grand Prix that were held here, the first of those being in 1967 and the last of those being in 1977. Didn't have a race in 1970, 1968 or 1975, so it missed a few years. And the only driver to win here twice was Jackie Stewart in his Tyrrell in 71 and 72. Since then, it's hosted the World Sports Car Championship, it's hosted USAC IndyCar, it's hosted World Superbikes, it's hosted all sorts of things, and most recently, of course, it's famous for hosting the American Le Mans Series, and also the IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship, which it still continues to host to this day. So, just 5.5 minutes to go in qualifying. We're watching Davide Ricciardi set up for another flying lap.
Yep, coming through turn 1 now, fast flowing right-hander, a lot of flowing corners just like that. Going over the track limits just a little bit there. This little Lamborghini sounds absolutely glorious. I think he has... No, he's not backed off his lap. Thought he did there. Coming up to, I believe, turn 3. Long right-hander, he's got a little bit of traffic in front of him. It shouldn't distract him a little bit. Coming up to, I think, the hardest braking point on the track, through turn 4. And up through into turn 5, an uphill right-hander, double right-hander. Probably going to be the main overtaking spot today. Needs good traction out there, getting a little bit of oversteer on the exit onto the straight, the Mario Andretti straightaway, lovely name. Might be picking up a little bit of a slipstream actually.
Yeah, I'll be getting a slight slipstream from that Viper up ahead. I believe that's Yusuf Masset flying through the right-hander at the end of the straight. That will be the corner known as turn 8. Interesting name for a corner, but anyway. Exits the S's, exits White's corner, turn 10, and across the start-finish line. He does not improve his lap, but he was very close to an improvement there. He was just 0.031 off, so very, very close there for Davide Ricciardi. But he still has the top time in this session so far, and that's nothing to be sniffed at.
Only 4 minutes left though. Finotti just a 10th behind Ricciardi, so not much time in it, and he's actually, Finotti's actually coming out of the pits for an hour ago, so might be interesting.
Davide Ricciardi, of course, is the reigning champion of the RSS GT1 Series. He won it last time out by just 6 points over John Van der Geest. It was a very, very close championship in the end. Van der Geest won more races, but Ricciardi, who appeared to be the fastest driver as a whole, ended up just snatching the championship away from him. However, he did claim 4 out of 5 pole positions last time out, so we know that Ricciardi is very, very strong in the race. John Van der Geest, of course, was second in the championship last time out, followed by Pablo Finotti, Laurent Lons, who I believe was also supposed to be here today, although has not shown up just yet. And then, of course, Nathan Lockie was 5th place in the championship last time out, and I'm afraid I don't see Lockie here yet either. However, we do have plenty of returning people, plenty of new faces as well, people who we haven't seen before in SimRacingOnline or the RSS GT1 Series, and plenty of drivers who could still very much prove themselves and very much prove to be a surprise here. Roberto Bali has just gone up to 5th position, the reigning, I believe, multi-class endurance series LMP2 class champion, going up to 5th place. So that's a good showing for him in the Ferrari.
Finotti is just starting his lap now, coming to turn 1. This, I think he'll get 2 shots at snatching pole from Ricciardi here, so let's see what he's got.
Finotti just sweeping through the left-hander. It's a very undulating track. It goes up, it goes down, it goes round, and I like tracks that are like that, tracks that are built in a kind of hillier area of countryside, and Pablo Finotti showing us exactly how you do it at this point in time. That's a famous sight there, because sweeping down through turn 4 towards Moss Corner. It's definitely one of the iconic sights of the track. Moss Corner, of course, was named as such because Sir Sterling Moss was very, very strong at this track every time he raced here. Never won a Grand Prix here because he never actually raced a Grand Prix here, although I believe he helped to design this track and raced in some of its earlier sports car races, including the Canadian sports car Players 200, which he won in 1961. So anyway, the corner still continues to bear his name, and we have some other tributes to famous racing drivers here as well, including the Mario Andretti straightaway, of course, and also, as Tony Talviti takes provisional pole position. That's fantastic from Talviti. And also, I believe Clayton Corner and White's Corner are named after racing drivers as well. But Tony Talviti, who's pulled into the pits now and believes that he's done enough to take pole position away from Davide Ricciardi, setting a pretty significant lap time there.
Yep, just half a tenth over Riccardi, but Pole's pole. Riccardi, I believe, is on a hot lap just now. I'm not sure if it's an out lap or a hot lap, but he is going fairly quickly. Finotti is still on track on a lap. Miettinen is in the pits, so it's just the top three really. A lot could change in the next, well, actually 4 seconds to go. So right at the end of the session here, let's see who grabs pole.
Riccardi
coming across the
line.
line.
He's not an improvement there. He's just missed out by only a couple of hundredths of a second. That's a tight squeeze there for Riccardi. Pablo Finotti crosses the line, goes a second down. That wasn't a very competitive lap. The only other driver from the top 10 still completing a lap is Giacomo Vallini. Vallini crossing the line in the Lambo and does not improve. He goes down on his time as well. What can Phil Brown do in the Ferrari? He was very competitive in previous seasons, as you see someone spinning off to the inside there. Brown coming through the final corner. He's currently 11th in the session and jumps up to stays 11th. So that is the last lap, I believe, as he goes into the barrier. And I don't think anyone is going to improve or change their lap time. So it's Tony Talvitu who takes pole position from Davide Ricciardi and Pablo Finotti. Andre Miettinen was 4th, followed by Roberto Bali, Johnny Gutierrez. Here you see the standings. Kai Sivertsen, who I haven't heard of before, goes 7th, so a good opening showing from him. John Van de Geest is 8th, Giacomo Vallini is 9th, Yusuf Massett rounding out the top 10. We've got a very decently sized grid here of 17 drivers. That's great to see. Phil Brown 11th, followed by Dean Timms, Javier Eugeni, Steve Isaacs, Rob Milliken, Steve O, Larry Thomas rounding out the field. And those two other people you see there are your commentators and not actual drivers. So 70, well, we are actual drivers, just not in this series. But whatever you say, those are the 17 drivers in the order that they're going to line up for this first round of the RSS GT1 Series in just 23 seconds time until the lights out, Mac.
Yep, not long to go, just 20 seconds. First race this season, so should be good here at Mosport. But I'll give it over to Caitlin for the race start.
Thank you very much. 10 seconds to go. You're going to see 6 red lights light up on your screen and then extinguish to start the race. And one of the Lamborghinis has pulled into the pits, but it's go anyway. Away they head at the start of the race. Let's get a good look of the front of the grid when everyone streams through. Apologies that you can't see the order just yet, but here we go. It's going to be Davide Ricciardi leading over the crest of the hill, followed by Miettinen, Talviti, Finotti. Has everyone got through cleanly? We've got one driver missing, I think. That's the Lamborghini who was starting in the pits, who is obviously further back. John Van de Geest lost a couple of places at the start, as has Yusuf Massett in the Viper. He's currently side by side with Phil Brown, I believe, as they're going around the top of the course down through turn 4. That's a tough place to go side by side. Brown will have the inside line through Moss Corner. The second part of it's going to play into his favour, and he goes through into 10th place. Massett comes back at him on the exit as they stream up past turn 5 and through the Mario Andretti straight. Still the leaders in a long chain of cars over the crest of the hill. Johnny Gutierrez going defensive from Sivertsen, and Sivertsen in the S7 looking feisty on this opening lap.
Yep, cars very, very close here on the end of lap 1 going on to lap 2. Fair few positions actually changed up ahead. Ricciardi leading away, starting to build a gap over Miettinen. Talviti had a very bad start. I'm not sure what happened to him. I can't really see what happened to him, but dropped back a little bit from pole. So after all that, after gaining pole and qualifying, just dropped back at the start. But he's gaining a bit on Miettinen here. The thing with Mosport though, it's not an easy track to overtake on.
Sivertsen just lost a place. Roberto Bali's up to 6th. Sivertsen's now under attack from who's batted 8th. It is Giacomo Vallini. So Vallini going for 7th, and I think Sivertsen may have dipped a wheel into the grass or something. But because he suddenly lost time, and he takes a look at Bally there, but he's going to run slightly wide. He's going to get a slightly worse exit onto the Mario Andretti straight this time around, and that is not going to set him up well. So he's got a whole chain of cars backed up behind him. Bellini,
Assetto and Van der Geest.
Assetto and Van der Geest going at it as they slipstream down the straight, and of course Bellini is going to have the advantage of slipstream from Sivertsen because he's on that side of the road, although Van der Geest, with the increased power in that Ferrari, just blast straight through.
Yeah, and I'm not sure who that was. Phil Brown getting very close to the car in front, almost hitting his bumper. Very hard to keep up the action here. A lot of battling on track already. Heading through its turn 1. Ricciardi actually building out quite a nice lead actually.
Ricciardi indeed building up a lead already in his, what car is he in? The Lamborghini. In fact, it's a Lamborghini 1-2 because we have Henri Miettinen in second place. Talviti is the first non-Lamborghini in his Celine, as is Benotti. The first of the listers is Johnny Gutierrez in 5th place. The first Ferrari is Roberto Bally in 6th. And you have to look a lot further back for the first Chrysler, who is Yusuf Massett in 10th place in that Viper. Back onto the start-finish straight though, not the start-finish straight, but the main back straight, Mario Andretti straight, and he's just slipstreamed there past Bellini, gets the move done. We saw last season that the Viper was it had a lot of torque. It was very, very good uphill and very, very good in a straight line. And that appears to be the case again there. Steve Isaacs also pulling a very similar move on Phil Brown, proving the Viper's grunt in a straight line, as Henri Miettinen, meanwhile, sets the fastest lap of the race.
Yeah, Miettinen gained actually a lot into turn 5. Both parts actually just on braking. I think they're coming up to that fairly soon actually. But then on the straight, I think Ricciardi just got much better traction out of there onto the Mario Andretti straight and just pulled away. So bit of back and forth here at the start. I'm not sure, is there pit stops going to be in this race? I'm not quite sure.
I believe so. Yeah, there was a pit stop last season. I don't believe that these cars can go an hour and a half without them, and I'm expecting the pit stop stages to start taking place probably within half an hour to an hour of into this race, and I know that's quite a broad window. Although I can imagine that there are going to be different strategies employed here, as Yusuf Massa goes side by side with John Van der Geest further back. I can imagine that there are going to be some quite varying strategies. You may want to stay out and not risk dropping into dirty air, as Massa there slots in behind Van der Geest and they get very, very close. I take it that's what your sharp intake of breath was for.
Yep. Yeah, Van der Geest went very deep, and I thought Massett was just going to have a slight bit of contact, but they managed to get away with it. Good driving there, leaving each other space. These two have actually been battling pretty much the whole of the race so far, so good to see there.
Thanks for the feedback about the audio there from Bill Grucock, saying I'm a little bit quiet. Yeah, the problem with that is that I actually have my microphone on my desk rather than in a stand or anything, because my stand broke. But whatever the case, I'm glad that I am still audible, and I hope I'm not like topping out, because I have had to compensate quite a lot with the gain settings. But anyway, less of that. Let's look back to Kai Sivertsen chasing down Roberto Bally, and I really hope I'm pronouncing Sivertsen's name correctly. But anyway. Oh, takes a look to the left and he's on the grass, he's in the barrier. I don't think Bally knew that he was going there, and I don't think Sivertsen expected Bally to come across. Gets forced into the wall and bravely manages to complete the move anyway. That was very, very close, and I hope that he doesn't have too much suspension damage as Van der Geest goes straight back past Massett again. Let's look on board with Sivertsen. That steering still looks pretty straight to me, thankfully enough.
Yep, I don't think he's got any damage. Very, very lucky there. Just Bally, I don't know if he didn't see him, or I don't think it was malicious, but yeah, one of the highest rules of racing, you can't move over on people on the straights. I thought it was going to be a massive crash there. but Sivertson just kept his foot in it.
Definitely. Also, hello to Palacantra Rally. He says hi from Chile. Hello, Chile. Sorry, Mac. What were you
Sorry,
pointing at?
mistake from race leader Riccardi.
Very true. He's just dropped back to about 0.3 of a second, less than that in front of Miettinen. Miettinen might have a run here down the Mario Andretti straight. He's going to the left, and Riccardi needs to make sure he doesn't move over, just like we just saw. Goes around the outside, does Miettinen. The next corner is a left-hander, and he needed to stay completely alongside Ricciardi there to get a good chance of pulling alongside him. Wasn't quite able to pull the move, and that is going to get Ricciardi's heart rate racing.
Yeah, and Talviti's actually closed right up to the back of them as well. That was at turn 5, that mistake from Ricciardi. Just the second part of it, I don't know if he got oversteer or just outbraked himself, but probably the most important corner, turn 5, those two parts, just because it goes into the end of or the start of a back straight, so you need good traction out there. Talviti is all over the back of Miettinen now. That's interesting to see.
Talviti, yeah, that's really, it's created an accordion effect. It's stuffed them all together at the front there, because of course one mistake from Ricciardi means that Miettinen's right in his tail, and if Miettinen can't get through then and there, that means that they're both going to lose time, and thus Talviti catches up as well. That's how the accordion effect works, and that is why they're all so much closer to each other than they were 2 laps ago. And Miettinen gets back in the slipstream again. I'm not so sure that he's going to have an attack here, but he's definitely getting closer and closer, and just waiting for Ricciardi to make another mistake. And I expect that if Ricciardi does, it's not going to be long at all before Miettinen takes advantage of that and dives through.
Yeah, and Miettinen just needs to keep doing what he's currently doing, just keeping the pressure on, trying to force Ricciardi into a mistake like he did previously 2 laps ago. Problem is for Miettinen, there's not many overtaking spots. There's turn 5 and there's the end of the straight, but unless you want to go for something really daring at another corner, but those are the main overtaking spots. And from what I've seen so far, Ricciardi's traction out of turn 5 has been really, really good, and it's been protecting his race lead so far. But we'll see, coming up to turn 5 just now, heavy on the brakes, and this is where you need good traction coming onto the straight, and Miettinen is actually quite close to this lap, so he might be able to make a move on this straight. The slipstream's starting to kick in now.
Slipstreaming, he's within 0.3 of a second of him. This might be an opportunity for Miettinen. Ideally you want to be within 0.2 of a second, but not quite there, and he's going to run wide in the turbulent air. That's not what he would have wanted, and that's going to set him up badly for the entry to this final corner there. So Miettinen, and he's had a bit of a twitch mid-corner, and Talviti might have a go at him here, because he is going to get an awful run onto the start-finish straight. Talviti is almost on his right-hand side, and Miettinen needs to make sure that he doesn't make too many mistakes like that, because that was close.
Yep, and Miettinen, he needs to keep the pressure, but at the same time he doesn't want to be making mistakes like that, because that's allowed Ricciardi just to build a few tenths gap, and slipstream just isn't going to be as effective now. But Talviti is probably in the prime position, because if Ricciardi and Miettinen have any contact or have any battle, Talviti can just swoop in and take the prize essentially. Miettinen very close once again.
Tony Talviti, new to this series, he didn't... Oh wait, no, never mind, ignore me. He did do last series. I didn't see his name. He did 2 rounds and won one of them, so we know that Talviti is a strong competitor. We also know that Ricciardi is a strong competitor because he won the entire championship last time out. And Henri Miettinen, of course, is also a very, very strong competitor. He did 2 rounds last series, and also won one of them, much like Talviti. So Miettinen.
Big slide from Miettinen.
Just like he did a lap ago, but a corner later, and still managing to stick ahead of Talviti, but really not by much. Talviti right on his tail, and it's tricky to actually pull the move and make it stick. And actually, I should correct myself, because the Lamborghini is not a Gallardo, as pointed out by my good friend Mike. It's not a Gallardo, it is a Murcielago. My mistake, and thanks for correcting me on that. Hope you're enjoying the race. But anyway, back down the straight go the two Lamborghini Gallardos, Murcielagos in the lead of the race. That's more like it. And Tony Talviti still putting pressure on him in the Saleen S7.
Yep, and he just needs to keep doing that, but Mietin is just starting to make a few mistakes. I don't know if the tyre wear is starting to kick in, but it was here last lap at turn 1, big slide through turn 1. Didn't lose the position because of it, but he did lose a bit of time and momentum. Momentum is so important at this circuit just because it's so flowing. But Talviti just seems to have the pace right now, but he just can't really find a place to make the pass.
Just not making it stick. Yeah, it's difficult to overtake people at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, or Mosport as it used to be known, because of course the corners are all so long and sweeping, and you don't really have many heavy braking zones. Even the braking zone into Moss Corner isn't as heavy as it looks because you're uphill, meaning you're slowing down faster, and also it's a relatively wide apex for what it is as well. And even this straight that you're looking at here, the slipstream effect is mitigated because there are slight bends in the straight. In fact, it counts as 3 corners. You have 5C, 6 and 7 in the straight, which I personally think is a nonsense way of numbering corners. But anyway, still it means that you don't get quite as much slipstream as you would at other straights its length, because you can't stick right behind your opponent the entire way, and also it's not immediately followed by a heavy braking corner. It's followed by a sweeping corner at turn 8, and then a semi-heavy braking zone into turns 9 and 10. So overtaking is tricky here, and because these corners are all so fast as well, it's difficult to follow the car in front because of the turbulent air created by these cars' massive diffusers and huge rear wings, meaning that you're going to get quite frustrated in the position that the Miettinen or Talviti are in right now.
Yep, and we do have, I don't know if this battle's been recent, but we have a battle shaping up between Finotti and Gutierrez for 4th on track, and the gap is just 7/10. So it's basically top 3 and 4th and 5th are basically all trying to find a way past each other, but overtaking quite here. That's quite difficult here at Mosport.
Davide Ricciardi has the most podiums of any driver in this series. He took 4 out of 5 podiums last series, but I believe the most experienced driver in the field in terms of races in total with SimRacingOnline is John van der Geest, who of course is one of the series organisers, and this is his 50th series with SimRacingOnline, so he has done a heck of a lot of racing against a heck of a lot of these drivers. He knows their driving abilities, he knows their driving styles, he knows these cars because he did last series as well, and he's currently running a relatively successful 8th position, which is good for him. Meanwhile, further back, we've got a couple of drivers who are a long way behind the rest of the pack, Rob Milliken and Dean Timms. I believe that those two have possibly been involved in a couple of incidents in the early stages of the race as we've been watching this lead chain fight.
Yeah, I've noticed a few drivers are actually running with ballast today, which is interesting.
It's the balance of performance between the different cars. So I can't remember exactly which cars have those balance of performance changes, but some of the cars are running slightly more weight, ballast weight than other cars, just to keep the racing fair.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, so either 30 kilograms or 50 kilograms for poor old John running 50. Oh,
Talviti took flight. I'm not sure if you saw that as well, but
no, I didn't. No.
Talviti's front end lifted up over the bump, he's managed to come down okay. He's still running in 3rd position. I just caught that out of the corner of my eye, and I'm about to see it again on the YouTube stream. Oh my word, yeah, he properly went over the grass in the air in the background. And I'm not sure whether that was I was sure he was going to lose more time from that. Was that a glitch maybe? Was that possibly my server lagging? Or did he genuinely just take flight? I have no idea what just happened there, but whatever the case, he's still behind me. He has lost a bit of time there to Miettinen, so I think something happened. That was a weird one, but anyway, still running strongly in 3rd position.
Yeah, he's half a second down on his delta, so did lose a bit of time, but you can see he's not lost that much time at all to the front two, so not a massive amount of time lost.
Indeed. Also, Bill Grucock saying the P4, P5 battle looks close, and indeed it does. This is Pablo Finotti, still being chased down by Gutierrez, and Gutierrez has been getting closer and closer to the back of them in recent laps. In fact, let's pander to Palacanta Rally's request and go on board with Johnny Gutierrez, so you can see exactly what this Mosport circuit looks like from on board a driver's point of view. In fact, can I get rid of... Oh, I can get rid of that annoying board in the middle. My apologies, I didn't know that I could. But anyway, Gutierrez in the old-fashioned looking Lister, and I say that with all due respect, it does look old-fashioned, not like one of the high-tech futuristic supercars such as the Celine or the Murcielago or even the Viper or whatever. It does look like a classic slicks and wings kind of supercar. However, I say that with all due respect because it goes like the clappers, and it's a wonder to have these things on the grid. It's an honour to have them racing with us, and I'm sure that Johnny Gutierrez is having a whale of a time inside that Lister.
Yep, Finotti and Gutierrez essentially setting the exact same times. They're just half a tenth, or just over a tenth in it, so pretty much trading times. Yeah, I think because they're running different cars, I think Finotti is faster in the straight, but Gutierrez is faster in the corners, so it's just interesting. Car going slowly up ahead, that's probably a lapped car.
Yeah, I believe so.
Larry Thomas, 15th, I think.
Yeah, he's 15th place, so that will be a lapped car, and it's good to see that he is getting out of the way nicely. And I believe that Finotti and Gutierrez are about to lap him cleanly. It's Thomas indeed. Meanwhile, the lead battles got closer. Miettinen caught well and truly up there as they went towards turn 8. Yeah, definitely gaining quite significantly on Ricciardi, but we've seen that happening plenty of times throughout the course of this race, and just nothing doing between the two of them, because Miettinen can't quite capitalise. However, that's not to say that the rest of this race is going to be much the same and it's going to be boring or anything, because of course we do still have over an hour to go, including a pit stop window, and there is no mandatory pit stop, but these cars just simply don't have the fuel to go a full hour and a half, so we will be seeing them pitting for fuel, and I expect probably tyres as well, and that will probably kick off in around about 10 minutes time, I expect, and I expect the majority of people will probably pit in about 20 minutes.
Yep, and the race leader is starting to come up to a little bit of traffic, just one car from what I can see. Yeah. Miettinen right on the back of Ricciardi this time.
Valley's just passed Siverton for 7th, so that's another fight that's
Miettinen going for a move around the outside. Contact!
Miettinen's off! I'm really sorry that I didn't catch that, but Miettinen is off the road. Talviti goes up to 2nd. And Miettinen runs over the grass, manages to keep it together, and he's got a lot of work to do now to get back up into that fight. That's a big shame from Miettinen. Oh, Vellini's slowing. Vellini is on the grass, and I'm not sure what's happened there either. So a couple of the Lamborghinis in severe trouble here at this stage in the race. That's a bizarre one. Can you just describe what you saw between Miettinen and Ricciardi, please?
Yeah, I wish there was a replay system, but it's not our factor too. But yeah, Miettinen basically got a great run out of turn 5 on the back of race leader Ricciardi, and he tried to go around the outside, and I think he either turned in or Ricciardi just tried to outbrake him a little bit, and there was just a bit of side contact, and Miettinen barely managed to get out of going in the wall. But yeah, I don't know if it was a racing incident or one of them was to blame, but a bit of a shame there because that battle was actually looking pretty close.
Phil Brown's just made his way past Steve-O for 13th position. Not sure whether that is the Steve-O of Jackass fame or not, but I presume that it isn't. I presume that is just a pseudonym. But whatever the case, continuing on his way. Also, Javier Eugeni now into the top 10. He worked his way past Steve Isaacs not too long ago. So a couple of Steves being passed at this point in the race, and not a good time to have that first name.
And Van der Geest and Masset are still battling after 25 minutes in this race. They're still battling on track.
Got Larry Thomas to lap now as they head through turn 1. Hopefully he gets out of the way nicely and cleanly. Of course, the rules say with SimRacingOnline that backmarkers do not have to obey blue flags, so long as you don't do anything stupid, and it's the responsibility of faster cars to work their way through. So that means that Thomas, while he's not obliged to move over and slow down, really needs to make sure that he doesn't hold up the leaders too badly and doesn't do anything silly like weaving across the road or anything like that. And Van der Geest, I think, is going to be losing time here. Yes, he definitely is on the exit of Moss Corner. Here comes Yusuf Masset, who is... Now, where's Thomas gone? Well, Thomas just spun there on the exit. I believe he may have gone into the wall. Whatever the case, Masset getting the slipstream, using that Viper grunt. Taking a look to the left-hand side, Van der Geest covers it. And as they go through turn 8, Masset's going to have to back off and regroup.
Yeah, Van der Geest just putting his car right in the middle of the track, right where you want to defend. Masset he actually made a few mistakes that lap, just trying to get on the throttle too early, and you can see he's clearly pushing to try and make this move stick. It is very hard to overtake here, so you just need to try and pressure the guy in front to make a mistake. But yeah, those two have been battling for literally 25 minutes straight, so it's good to see Talviti all over the back of race leader Ricciardi.
Talviti definitely gaining on Ricciardi. And this is the closest he's been to in this point so far in the race, of course, since the very start. And that, of course, is because before there was a bright green Lamborghini in between them, keeping Talviti back. But now the only thing separating Talviti from Ricciardi is Ricciardi's own wake, his own turbulent air, being kicked out from behind that diffuser, and about half a second's worth of time. So Ricciardi and Talviti basically towing and pushing each other around. And I do say pushing because if you get closer to the car in front, they do get a little bit of an aerodynamic push. You see that more in pack racing than in GT1 racing. And mainly the person benefiting from this is going to be Talviti, as Ricciardi is probably going to be a little bit distracted by this Celine in his rear view mirrors, as we've had a move for 10th there. Isaac side by side with Eugeni and making the move stick in the Viper.
Yep, Eugeni trying to get that, Isaac's trying to get, well, looking at the wrong person, Eugeni trying to get that position back, trying different lines, but Isaacs is passed. Yeah, a lot of battles, not many overtakes to be honest. Still Finotti and Gutierrez going onto the back straight now.
I'm expecting more of the actual overtaking side-by-side action to occur probably in the second half of this race, after the pit stops, where everyone knows it's more urgent, where everyone knows the car and the track better, when everyone is well and truly into the rhythm of it. That's when we're going to start getting moves for position. And for now, it's all about keeping your nose clean and keeping the track position as well as you possibly can.
It'll be interesting when the strategy comes into play, because obviously different cars running here today, different engines. We've got V10s,
Good point.
V12s. So I'm assuming they're going to have different fuel consumption.
That is a good point, and the cars are not equal. They don't handle equally. They don't have the same amount of power, and as a result, we may well see cars being able to conserve fuel or tires better. We may well be able to see them coming into the pits at different times, and that may well have an effect on the overall race results. So definitely keep an eye out for that as well. I'm expecting, again, pit stops probably to start occurring in about 5 minutes time, but only for a few brave individuals who want to go for a longer second stint. And I'm expecting, as I said, the majority of pit stops to happen in about 15 to 20 minutes time. In the meantime, Johnny Gutierrez still getting pretty frustrated that he can't find a way past Pablo Finotti, I expect. They're still fighting over 4th position and have been pretty much glued together for this entire race. Show me the logo on Gutierrez's rear wing. That's an interesting advertisement. But anyway.
I didn't notice that, actually. That's quite funny.
Funny indeed. Still sitting behind Pablo Finotti in his race SimSport, I think, liveried Lister. Let's get a closer look at that when we can. Sweeping through Mosport at Race Sim Studio. My apologies. Not entirely sure what they do. I presume something to do with sim racing, and Gutierrez sporting their livery. We have a few custom liveries in this pack, actually. Meanwhile, Steve O is in the pits, so one of our drivers sporting is that a Turkish livery? Yeah, it is. In the pit lane, making an early stop, and I'm not sure whether he had damage or not to...
Assetto going for a move on Van der Geest.
Indeed, around the outside. We've seen these two getting side by side a couple of times because the Viper is very fast in a straight line. And Masset's going wide, so Masset had a little bit of a twitch mid-corner there, and he's going into the wall. Masset went wide onto the lesser used, the less grippy part of the circuit, tried to put the power down, and around it went, and he's lucky to get away with that. And I think he may have some slight suspension damage, but it won't be anything too drastic. Yeah, that's a little bit of suspension damage. I think it's hanging a bit to the left as he goes up the hill. Drops to 9th place.
I believe we have Steve-O has pitted.
Yeah, he did.
So I think that's one of the first cars to actually pit. He's running at 14th, so not the highest position, but that just gives an indication. And you were talking about Race Sim Studio earlier. That's the maker of the mod.
Okay. Right. That makes sense. Thank you for clarifying. Also noticed showing me the logo on Steve O's car as well. So it's on a couple of the listers, which is interesting. I don't think I've ever seen a real life GT1 car with sporting that, but whatever the case. Tony Talviti still sticking in the tracks of Davide Ricciardi there. In terms of the cornering number system, I want to have a quick rant, because you have turn 1, which is a long sweeping right-hander, you have turn 2, which is a long sweeping left-hander, which is pretty much exactly the same as turn 1, and yet there's a random arrow pointing to the corner exit saying 2A, which is weird, because why do you need to have a 2A there? Then you have turn 3, which is a long sweeping right-hander. Turn 4 is a little left-hander with 2 kinks. Keep that in mind. Turn 5, or Moss Corner rather, has 2 very pronounced apexes that could very easily be seen as 2 separate corners, yet they've actually labelled it as 5A and 5B. Then you have a very, very slight kink in the straight that you barely even need to steer for, which is known as 5C, despite the fact it's going in the opposite direction to the rest of turn 5. Then, the Mario Andretti straightaway is registered as turns 6 and 7, and if you look at the straight, I've got no idea how that counts as 2 corners, whereas the Moss corner counts as 3. I just have absolutely no idea. Then you have turn 8, 9 and 10, which look absolutely fine, so why can't the rest of the track be like that? It just makes no sense.
I agree, but it's similar with the Red Bull Ring in Austria, where they've got turn 1 and then turn 2 is that slight like kink on the straight. So I don't know, it's very confusing.
Apologies if we're having some frame rate issues on the stream. I believe that everyone is getting the same problem, and I'm not sure how to solve that. If anyone has any suggestions, that would be very much appreciated. But anyway, I very much hope that sorts itself out soon.
It's interesting. After Masset's spin 2 or 3 laps ago, he's been catching Van der Geest. Well, last lap was 4/10 quicker than Van der Geest, which on this track is actually quite a lot because it's not a very technical track. So yeah, 4/10 that last lap over Van der Geest.
4/10 over Van der Geest, so he is catching back up. And I'm expecting him to be on him at least after the pit stop stages. Who else made a pit stop? Steve Isaacs made a quick stop, so he's been in. Not many other drivers have actually made their stops yet. Although I'm expecting the leaders to probably try to leave it out longer. Talviti might want to pit earlier than Ricciardi to get that clean air, to show us what his Celine is capable of when it stretches his legs. And Ricciardi may want to stay out and get the clean air at the front of the field and not risk being dropped into traffic. But he may also want to pit earlier than Talviti to prevent Talviti from getting the undercut. So Ricciardi here is definitely in the worst situation out of the two of them, definitely in the tougher position in terms of the decision he has to make of whether he wants to concentrate on himself or concentrate on Talviti.
That was a very fast lap by Talviti there. 15.8, so I think it was the second fastest lap of the race. Of course the fuel level is coming down, so that adds to the speed, but also the tyres are getting a little bit worn. But he made a bit of a mistake on the previous lap. He lost half a second. That lap he gained a bit of a back. You see back markers getting in the way once again of race leader Ricciardi.
Yeah, I'm expecting the fastest laps to probably come in just after the pit stops, when they're on those fresher tyres. I presume they're changing tyres anyway. These are slicks, so they should be changing tyres. But anyway. Talviti still stuck about a second behind Ricciardi at the front of the field. Gutierrez stuck about half a second behind Vinotti for a fourth. And the other fight that's going on, Masset has caught right back up to Van der Geest again.
Yeah, he's just been like chipping away at that gap, just 10th by 10th by 10th for the past few laps. Last lap was about 3.5 tenths faster than Van der Geest. So yeah, he is gaining. Oh, bit of a mistake there by Masset. Getting a little bit too much on the curbs.
Into the pits comes Sivertsen. So Kai Sivertsen making his stop in the Celine. I was also going to say that Van der Geest and Masset had a bit of traffic there, which may have aided in pulling the two of them closer together, and Masset will be hoping for more traffic soon to potentially shake that up again.
I think it's a fairly clean track. Up ahead, there's a blue car. I'm not sure who that is. Might be Isaacs. I think it is Isaacs. Yeah. It will be interesting to see who blinks first between the race leaders Riccardi and Talviti. That'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, I'm expecting it to be Talviti, although I have definitely been wrong in the past. So you can never quite tell. I'll definitely be keeping an eye on on both of them, even though right now I'm interested in this battle between Finotti and Gutierrez, which I don't think has been this close in a while. It seems to keep coming out and then back in again. And what Gutierrez really needs here is a mistake from Finotti. But of course, all the while he's spending behind Finotti, they're losing chunks of time over the leaders, who may well be too far gone by now, as there's 13 seconds of gap between Finotti and Miettinen out in front. That's a big difference. And I think that Yusuf Massa very nearly had a go at Van der Geest there.
Yeah, Masset's brought that gap down to literally what it was for the start of the race, right on the back of Van der Geest after Masset's mistake in the latter half of the lap. But once again, he's got this problem, where does he make this pass? And the best place to make a pass is at the exit or the end of the straight. He is quite close, so he might be able to make it here.
Right, Masset in the slipstream. Catching, and Van der Geest appears to be leaving him room on the right hand side. I wouldn't do that if I was you, John. And actually he backs off. So looks to me as if he just didn't want to fight Masset anymore, didn't think it was worth it, thought that Masset was going to get through anyway, and through he went. That's a bizarre one. But whatever the case, the Viper of Masset goes through, and I suppose that's the move of the race so far, since we don't have that much competition. But anyway, it just shows you the speed at which Masset caught Van der Geest. Just shows you how much of a difference there is between some of the drivers in this field who just can't seem to get past their opponents, because it is so difficult in cars with diffusers as large as this.
Yeah, you can have a pace advantage all you want, but it's trying to make that move, and I think that's what we've been really seeing today. Talviti's been all over the back of Riccardi, the race leader, for quite a while now. It used to be Miettinen before he made a mistake, and now it's Talviti, and they've just been following each other. Well, Talviti's just been following Riccardi for quite a while now and just not being able to make a move whatsoever, but he is dropping back. The gap's 1.5 seconds now, so
Talviti had a much worse lap that last time around. He was about 0.4 of a second slower, so the gap is coming out as it stands, and I'm not sure whether that was just a one-off dodgy lap, or whether he may just be dropping off the pace now, or whether Riccardi's even pushing, because Riccardi may well know full well that he's in that tough situation where he wants to cover off Talviti, but he also wants to keep in the clean air, meaning that it would certainly help him if he had a larger gap. Meanwhile, Sivertsen makes his way past Bellini. Those two, of course, have pitted, so that's not for position. However, something that is for position is Eugenie passing Brown for 9th in the order currently.
Yep, Eugenie up into 9th. That gap, have you noticed the gap between Masset and Van der Geest, how much it is opened?
Yeah, totally. It's almost a second already.
Yeah. So that's just 2 laps, I think, and it was a bit bigger. I think Masset might have made a mistake or something, but Miettinen, his delta has gone up a lot, like 13 seconds, so has he had a spin somewhere?
Miettinen has dropped back. Yeah, that'll be a spin, because he's now 14 seconds behind Talviti, and he's almost dropping back to Finotti. His last lap was a 1:29. He lost 13 seconds, so that's a spin or something from Miettinen. I don't think he made a pit stop, because a pit stop would have been much longer than that. So I think that is a genuine mistake from Miettinen, unless it was a pit stop, but I don't think that was the case.
That would be a very fast pit stop if it was just 13 seconds.
Meanwhile, I've tried something to potentially fix the buffering, which is shutting the YouTube stream, so I won't be able to see comments or whatever, and I'd like you to keep an eye on that if you can, Mac. Also, if you could tell me if the YouTube stream looks better now, it looks less buffery, that would be very, very nice of you. But anyway, we are now well and truly approaching the pit stop stages. I'm expecting the leaders to come in any minute now and make their stops, and as I say that, Talviti comes in, so it'll be interesting to measure his pace, the time he loses rather, in comparison to Miettinen, to see if it potentially was a stop from Miettinen. I don't think it was. No, Miettinen comes in, so Miettinen making his stop now, and he did genuinely lose 13 seconds to Talviti, which is going to be very, very costly in this race, and may end up losing him the position to Vanotti later on. So Talviti and Miettinen both in their pit boxes. That temporarily puts Vanotti second and Gutierrez third, although I don't think that's going to be the case. It all depends on when they come out. Van der Geest also pitting from 7th position in the order as it stands, and I'm expecting other drivers to pit too. Kai Sivertsen going side by side with Eugenie along the straight, easy peasy lemon squeezy, just blasts his way past the Ferrari. Of course, the Ferrari of Eugenie, I believe, yet to stop, so he's going to be a long way behind by the end. And you see just how long pit stops are supposed to take, because Talviti is only exiting the pit lane now.
Yeah, very long pit stop.
As Riccardi pits on the next time round, so Riccardi comes in. And this is interesting because Talviti, of course, will have one lap on fresher tyre. Riccardi's missed his pit box. Riccardi's overshot it. He's made a mistake. And that is going to cost him approximately 2 seconds, which is going to put him behind Henri Miettinen. Tony Talviti, surely. As Talviti now on fresher tyres will have he'll have to push on this lap, surely. But he is going to be gaining a whole chunk of time on Davide Ricciardi and all of that, and this may well be the race lead from Tony Talviti. What drama we are witnessing here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, as Ricciardi is still sitting in his pit box. Talviti, we are watching here, is chasing a stationary car, and all he needs to do is put in a lap time within 2 seconds of Ricciardi's last lap time. Across the line, where's Ricciardi? Is he exiting his box? Yes, he is, but Talviti goes through. Talviti takes the temporary lead of the race. Ricciardi's going to come out behind Sivertsen, and Sivertsen's pitted. Ricciardi's lost even more time than I thought, because Sivertsen has passed him genuinely. How has Sivertsen found so much time? Surely he's gained over 10 seconds there. Did Sivertsen not not refuel in his stop or something? I'm really not sure, but whatever the case, and you're about to hear oh no, you're not about to hear a cooling sound or whatever, but anyway, Pablo Fanotti now in the pits. And I'm really surprised that Sivertsen is ahead of Ricciardi, because he really should be behind him at this point in time. I'm wondering whether Sivertsen maybe didn't change tyres, potentially. Whether he's double stinting those tyres, it wouldn't be unheard of. And also into the pits is Yusuf Massett. Mac, what do you make of all of this?
I was not watching because for some reason it dropped me out of this call, so I don't know why.
Well, basically what happened is Ricciardi overshot his box. He went straight on, and that's why he's dropped behind Talviti. But also, Kai Sivertsen is now in second place in the effective order. He's jumped ahead of Fanotti. Now, where's he come from? Because the thing is, Sivertsen was a long way behind earlier in this race. Has he potentially not changed tyres?
If his pit stop was incredibly, unless he's started more fuel and has refueled less at the pit stop, but I don't know how fast the pit stop was compared to the rest of them for him to gain that much.
Definitely a possibility. So we'll see later on if he jumps up the order or if he has to make a later pit stop. Apologies for hearing my microphone rubbing a bit. Bali and Gutierrez into the pits from first and second on the track. That's going to put Talviti to first. Civitan only a second behind him in second place. I've got no idea how that happened. Ricciardi's going to be third after that mistake. Eugenie and Bellini are still yet to stop. And Finotti and Miettinen are close on track there for 8th and 9th positions. That's going to turn into probably 4th and 5th later on. So this is an important move that Miettinen may be about to make down the straight. He's going to the right hand side. He's touching wheels onto the grass. And Miettinen goes through on the right hand side.
Yep, good move there from Miettinen. Yeah, you had to be ruthless for that move to make it stick, but yeah, I have no idea what has happened in this race after missing about 2 minutes of it at the most important point, but it looks to be heating up just a bit. Still a few drivers in the pits. We have Eugenie and Verlini still battling on track for 6th.
And Finotti's retired. We just saw Finotti being passed by Miettinen, and now he's out of the race. And of course, unfortunately, I can't give you a replay of how that happened, since it I don't have a replay feature. But Pablo Finotti is dropping down the order. He's got DNF next to his name, and that is a big blow for one of the top drivers in SimRacingOnline.
Yeah, shame for Finotti. He's having a fairly good race. Johnny Gutierrez, has he pitted?
Gutierrez is
yes,
pitted. The top two drivers who haven't pitted are having a fight though. Eugenie versus Bellini down the straight. They're currently 4th and 5th and waiting to make their stop. I'm convinced that Kai Sivertsen did make a pit stop earlier in this race. He was the second person to come in. And if I'm wrong, you should correct me on that in the YouTube chat. But I am fairly sure that Kai Sivertsen did make a stop. I know that Eugenie and Bellini have not. But yeah, the order has really shuffled up. Mac, have we got any more YouTube comments that you can announce?
I have not been able to check recently, but I can check.
Yes, please. And if you could also check how the stream looks in terms of buff. And Miettinen's out too! What is happening to the front runners now? Henri Miettinen has suddenly DNF'd. Just like Finotti did a few laps ago, and Finotti incidentally is back in the race. So Finotti has got his connection back. He's recovered into the race. He's losing tons of positions there. He's going to be, well, pretty much last. However, Henri Miettinen has now disconnected. So, a couple of DNFs happening to big contenders in this race, and that is a huge shame for both Henri Miettinen and Finotti, who, although he is back in the race, has lost a lot of ground.
Yep, I'm not sure what the last comment you saw was. Just Bill Grucock talking, saying that it will be interesting to see if David can chase down Talviti. Ricciardi's pace has actually been fairly decent, but Talviti last lap did a 15.8, which is very quick. Best lap of the race so far, I believe, is a 15.7. So, yeah, I think they're pretty much pushing the limit of these cars as much as they possibly can right now.
Into the pits come Eugenie and Bellini from the top positions of drivers yet to stop. Also Finotti just passed Rob Milliken, so he's already made up one position, and I believe points go down to something like, well, I believe that everyone gets to score points, although of course the better your finishing position, the more points you score. Eugenie and Bellini are going to come out probably around about 10th and 11th position in this race, all depending on if Phil Brown gets them in time or not.
Now, what happened to Sivertsen that last lap?
Oh wow, yeah, you're right, Sivertsen.
Because his last lap was 10 seconds off the pace, I just noticed.
Lost something like 10 seconds that last lap, and he's dropped behind Ricciardi. So Ricciardi is up to 2nd, Sivertsen down to 3rd. What is happening to these front runners today?
Just a little bit of chaos after the pit stops, as we kind of predicted.
I told you it was all about to kick off, didn't I?
Yeah, Sivertsen dropped down from 2nd to 3rd, and that was 2nd on track after a very fast pit stop. We're still quite confused as to how he pulled that off, but 3rd, still a very good position in this race. Oh, he's getting held up by a bad marker there.
Gets Johnny inside. Yeah, that would have been Bellini there, I believe.
Yep.
Who loses a place to Steve-O and all of that, so Bellini there, while being lapped, gives more ground than Steve-O did, and through goes the Turkish liveried Lister into 11th position overall.
Oh, Masset going very far off the track there. I've noticed Masset was pushing the track limits just a little bit, just trying to gain as much time as possible. On Van der Geest, who he is still battling with in this race.
Mac, you haven't answered my question. Does the stream look okay?
Yeah, looks fine.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you very much. It's just because it was buffering before. Sorry, that was a little bit rude of me there. But,
it's okay.
Anyway. Larry Thomas only just making his way past Henri Miettinen, who's retired, but that's actually good to see, because obviously a couple of drivers have been severely hampered in this race. There have been a couple of incidents, and a few drivers have lost a lot of ground, but it's great to see them still running. Meanwhile, losing a lot of time there down the straight was Steve O, who was moving very, very slowly and lost the place back to Vellini, and I believe that they were racing, is that Finotti? Yes it is, but Finotti is a lap down to them. So I'm very surprised to see Steve-O potentially backing off. Whatever the case, we've got a Ferrari running wide there, and I think that was Phil Brown. Brown about to come under attack from Vellini if he's not careful, and he's getting a little bit sideways through Moss Corner there, although he may have meant to do that because that set him up nicely for the exit. But Fellini's still getting a much better run down the straight, and we've also got a move going on a little bit further ahead. I believe that's someone being lapped, as Vellini takes a look to the right-hand side of Brown. That's the side you want to be on down the straight, and I think he's going to make the stick into turn 8. He does so. Well done to Vellini, and Finotti's going to follow him through because Brown is off the road.
Yeah, I think Brown let him through, but I just forgot to brake at the end of the straight. Up ahead for the battle for first, we have Riccardi trying to chase down Talviti. Gap's 5.5 seconds, and it's coming down at a 10th or 2 a lap. But we've got 36 minutes left in this race, so at this current rate, unless Talviti makes a mistake, I don't really think it's going to change.
I said that Riccardi lost about 2 seconds by overshooting his pit box. He probably lost more like 5 and lost a little bit more time in that pit stage as well, which is why he is currently running behind Tony Talviti, who was third earlier in this race, remember. And Talviti won't really quite believe his luck at this point in the race. He would have suddenly found himself with a huge advantage over his opponents, and he won't quite understand where that's all come from. Meanwhile, I think Steve-O's got some slight suspension damage, has he? No, not quite. Looked to me as if he was running quite sideways there. But anyway, pulls a move on Brown, and Brown, meanwhile, really is struggling.
Yeah, Brown just had a big moment coming out of turn 5, got onto the grass, and that allowed Steve-O the momentum to get past coming out of the double hairpin.
And Brown pits, and I think that's his second stop, so obviously problems for Brown's Ferrari. And into the pits he comes. It takes a long time to slow it down for his box, but anyway, he will be disconnecting. That's why he wasn't. Well, he was driving back slowly to retire, so something seriously wrong with that Ferrari, and he's gone. And he will only be our second complete retirement to this race after Henri Miettinen.
It's a shame for Miettinen because he was battling the race leader, was probably going to finish 3rd or 4th, so he was on for some good points, and for the race to go that badly, it's not a nice sight.
It's not, and Phil Brown is he's a rather inconsistent driver, and I say that with all due respect, because he does have some fantastic performances at times. There were times, I seem to remember Watkins Glen last series, he was very first on the fringe of the top 4. Someone spun there. Who's that facing backwards? Let me just scroll through a couple of drivers. Was it maybe Dean Timms? I think it may have been. Whatever the case, someone had a quick spin and appears to have rejoined the circuit okay. But yeah, Phil Brown, a driver who we've seen a lot from in the past. As I said, he was on the fringe of the top 4, top 3 at Watkins Glen last series. But I got the feeling from the start of this race weekend that this just wasn't his track, maybe.
Yep. Riccardi in second is getting very close to the fastest lap time. Just 15 thousandths in it, so getting pretty much everything out of that Lambo.
Obviously pushing, but I was watching Talviti there and I couldn't even see Riccardi in the background. There's a whole back marker between them, so fortunately for him it doesn't appear that time's coming down very quickly as Finotti's slowing. Finotti's had a movement there out of Moss corner and drops several of the positions that he only just gained.
Yep, and he was gaining on Steve-O up ahead, but that mistake has obviously dropped him back. 12 seconds he lost.
Now back to Giacomo Vallini in the Lamborghini. He's the only driver currently running within half a second of the car in front. He's catching Steve-O. He's been faster over most of his laps than Steve-O so far in this race, although now finds himself behind him for a variety of reasons, including mistakes and having to give way to leaders. I'm not sure who that is behind them in the Viper and whether they're going to need to give room to him or not. As they head up the hill once again, with Vallini still challenging, still putting pressure on Steve-O.
That's Rob Milliken behind them. That's
okay,
actually
so he's a lap down to them, don't worry.
Oh yeah, he's a lap behind. Okay.
Up the Mario Andretti straight, and towards the end it'll be down the Mario Andretti straight because the entire straight goes over the crest of the hill there.
Just Bill Grucock in the comments saying, I wonder if the pit crew panicked when David overshot and forgot to give him his glass of Chianti. Which I think is
Chianti?
red wine, I think.
I don't get it.
I feel there might be a reference in there somewhere, but I'm not. I don't think I'm literate enough to know that.
Yeah, I don't get it. Sorry, Bill. Anyway. Vallini's still stuck behind Steve-O. He's been around about that far behind him for something like 1.5 laps now. Again, it's just really difficult to follow cars in this series. Steve-O taking a tight exit though.
Yeah, a bit of a mistake
and
from
Steve-O. Vallini takes 10th position, does it cleanly. And Steve-O is going to have to settle for 11th there. I think he knew all along that was going to happen. He just wanted to delay it for as long as possible. He doesn't really need to panic too much because he's got a whole lap's advantage over Rob Milliken. You see Milliken behind him there. That is actually the car behind him in the race, but there's a whole lap that separates them, as well as that maybe a second that you see separating them on the track there.
Yep, so yeah, Verlini Verlini's got a lot of time behind him. What's happened there? Oh yes, the thing is that of course the results. Oh, Steve was letting
Milliken by. That's a weird one.
Yeah.
Maybe he thought that he was a lap ahead because Milliken is a whole lap behind. There is a Ferrari coming up, and I think that may be a car that's a whole lap ahead. It is. It's Roberto Valli. So maybe he saw the blue flags waving for Valli and let through Milliken in the process. But anyway, here comes Pablo Finotti, and Finotti is also a lap down to Steve-O, so Steve-O does not need to get out of the way for him. Finotti just wants to get through for his own sake here.
Trying to go around the outside, which then becomes the inside of turn 5.
Well, it's a good move from Finotti. Doesn't gain a place, but he does gain track position over Steve-O. He makes a little bit of an error there, and he's now dropped to 6 seconds behind Vallini and all of that. So Steve-O losing a bit of time, but still running nicely in 11th place on what I believe is his SimRacingOnline debut.
Yep. I think Bally made a bit of a mistake that last lap, or he let someone through. His delta's 1.5 down, so...
Oh, someone's spinning, and that's Milliken into the wall. Rob Milliken has slammed the barrier, and he's getting in the way of Steve-O there. And he has not... Steve-O's crashed. What happened to Steve-O there?
No.
I just saw that in Milliken's mirrors. I went on board with Milliken and just saw Steve-O spinning around and around. So something affecting two of the listers there. Boys seem to have got away with it. Just giving way to use of Masset there, who goes through on the inside. Not the cleanest of races for those two, but never mind. They continue on their way.
We do have a little bit of a bunching up between, not just yet, but Gutierrez, Van der Geest and Masset in 5th, 6th and 7th. Who's that going off track? That's Van der Geest making a mistake at turn 5.
Masset might be right on him here because there was only about 2 seconds of a gap between them.
I think Masset made a mistake as well.
Yeah, Masset's dropping a whole ton of time here. He's definitely made a mistake coming onto the straight. Might be passed by Steve-O if he's not careful.
Bit of a career change for Steve-O from Jackass to racing cars.
It'd be amazing if we found out it was the same one. It's the kind of thing he'd do, isn't it?
Yeah.
Then again, he'd want to do it in real life. Maybe he's training. I don't know. Meanwhile, Davide Ricciardi still setting extremely quick laps. I think the fastest lap of the race so far is still held by Andre Miettinen. I haven't seen a change in fastest lap since then. Ricciardi's got close.
Fastest lap is...
He's just said it.
Oh.
Davide Ricciardi sets a 1:15.549.
2/10 faster than the previous fastest lap.
Pickle my spinach in a cat's stomach acid, that's fast.
Gap down to 4 seconds. It was previously 5.5 a few laps ago. The problem that Ricciardi's got, he can, if he's 3 or 4 tenths faster every lap, he'll catch up to the back of Talviti, but then he might struggle to find a way past.
He might, which is why he wants to gain time so quickly. He's within 3 seconds of Talviti there. You see Talviti just up the road.
Yeah, like Talviti's a second down in his delta, so he's made a mistake somewhere.
Yeah, that's why Ricciardi is pushing so hard. It's because he knows that it's going to be tough to pass Talviti, and he wants as much time to play with as he possibly can, so he can keep attacking and attacking. Meanwhile, into the pits in 8th comes Steve Isaacs, so Isaacs not being able to quite go the distance, going for a 2-stopper. But Ricciardi is continuing to push. Let's watch this onboard, which shows you just how furiously flat out and flowing this circuit Mosport is, with the fastest driver on track currently.
You can just see how smooth he's being, just so he doesn't scrub off any speed. The white car up ahead, that's the race leader Talviti, who Ricciardi's just been trying to wind in and catch for the past couple of about 20-30 minutes. Catching, getting ever closer
to the back of Talviti. Meanwhile, Vellini's caught up to Isaacs, who goes into the barrier. Isaacs had an instant. Bounces off the tyre wall. Appears to have got away with it relatively unscathed. Maybe some slight rear suspension damage, hopefully there isn't.
Masset onto the back of Van der Geest once again.
Again? Goodness me. I didn't notice that... These two have been
pretty much battling all race.
Didn't notice that Van der Geest had jumped Masset, but indeed he has done. And that means that Masset's going to have to do it all over again.
Yep, he's very close in the straight though. Just the traction of Van der Geest at turn 5 just seemed to be a little bit better, but he is closing.
Goes to the left-hand side, maybe trying to sell Van der Geest a dummy, because it looks as if he may have thought about jinking over to the right-hand side, especially if they were closer. But
I think the only way that Masset is going to make a move there is if he's going for the inside. I don't think we've actually seen a successful move around the outside there, because it's just, these cars just don't have the grip to do that.
they have plenty of grip, it's just really, really tough. Oh, and off goes Van der Geest. Not quite giving Masset enough of a chance though. That looked to me as if Van der Geest was going to lose so much more momentum than he did. That was
all
close.
over his rear bumper.
Bumper to bumper they are, splitter to rear wing. And they've got a bit of traffic coming up as well. That's Rob Milliken and Steve-O pits. Of course, we saw Steve-O having that massive spin earlier, so he may want a fresh set of rubber. Oh, and look at that, Sivertsen is pitted. So obviously, the reason that Sivertsen had such a quick pit stop before was because he was going for a two-stop strategy. I expected that might be the case. I wasn't so sure, and we'll have to see where Sivertsen comes out. I thought it was too good to be true for Kai Sivertsen, and that is probably going to put, well, it is going to put Roberto Bali up into third position. So Bali, due to issues for Miettinen and Fanotti, has inherited third position. Gutierrez is through to fourth in his lister. That's a good performance from him. I believe this is going to be his best result yet. Van der Geest fifth, Masset sixth. Sivertsen is going to exit the pits in seventh because Eugene is too far back.
And Ricciardi is absolutely flying. Just the past few laps have been pretty much the fastest laps.
This is going to be the first lap of the race, isn't it, from Ricciardi? Crossing the line? Not quite.
Not quite, but every lap's been 0.8, 0.8, 0.5, 0.8, so very consistent as well. Under a second now to Talviti. This is the battle for the race lead.
This is the battle for the race lead, and a battle it is, because he has certainly caught up to the back of that Celine now. He's been pushing, but has he pushed too hard? We're going to see in just a couple of laps' time. Davide Ricciardi, I keep going to call him Daniel Ricciardo. Davide Ricciardo chasing down Tony Talviti, and look how close he is. Through last corner there, they've got a slower car on their right, getting out the way for them. That's Tim's. Up the hill they go, Ricciardi in the slipstream. He's within 0.4 of a second of Talviti. He's within 0.3 of a second of Talviti. Talviti's running slightly wide. Ricciardi gets a better run. And the scrap is well and truly upon us with 20 minutes of the race remaining. Surely it's...
Ooh.
And he's made a mistake. Ricciardi had to back out of that to avoid running into the back of Talviti, but he's surely going to be right back on him in no time at all. Can Talviti hold him off for 20 minutes?
It's going to be a tough ask, but the circuit is, it's very, you can just put your car in the middle of the track and it is very hard to overtake. But Ricciardi's just got such a pace advantage just now, especially in the second stint. Talviti was keeping up with him, but Ricciardi definitely the faster of the two drivers here in the second stint after the pit stops.
Through Moss Corner, onto the Mario Andretti straight. Ricciardi will be hoping to make it the Davide Ricciardi straight. He's within 0.2 of a second of him. Surely this is his chance. Watch this as he pokes out to the right hand side. Now he's alongside Tony Talviti and he blasts through into the lead of the race. Fantastic from Davide Ricciardi. His pace has been absolutely unmatchable. We saw it in qualifying, we've seen it in the race, we've seen it on the fastest lap sheet, and Tony Talviti now sees it right in front of him. Davide Ricciardi, what a comeback!
Yeah, absolutely great comeback from Ricciardi. Unfortunate the pit stop to lose a lot of time there. That's dropped him back into second, but his pace since then has been absolutely incredible. So he's fought back and managed to overtake Talviti. And I have to say, Talviti is not an easy guy to overtake, so good job from Riccardi there to regain the race lead.
So, up through turn 2 and turn 2A, turn 2A as well apparently. Go Ricciardi and Talviti once again. And Talviti is already dropping a long way back, 7/10 is the gap. This is really impressive, especially since Ricciardi was holding Talviti up near the start of the race. Talviti was obviously quicker. And I'll tell you what I think this may be. I reckon, I'm not sure if I can check this at all. Let me just, yeah, I don't know if I can check this, but if I remember correctly, there are two different tyre compounds you can use, a softer one and a harder one. I think both of them, I think you have to use both. And I wonder whether Ricciardi started on the harder tyre and managed to hold off Talviti, who was on the softer tyre, potentially, putting him in a really, really strong position for the second half of the race. I may be spitting complete nonsense, but I may also have hit the nail on the head.
That would make sense. Because Riccardi's... I don't know, just Talviti didn't seem to get any traction at turn 5. And then he didn't really defend the inside, where it's pretty easy to defend from an overtake on there, because you stick to the inside. And as long as you don't mess up the braking zone, you've kept the position. So I think Talviti just saw the pace that Ricciardi had and maybe just conceded it, said, I'll settle for second.
So, almost a second in it now between Ricciardi and Talviti. Ricciardi absolutely flying away from his rival. Talviti trying desperately to stick with Ricciardi, but it appears to be in vain. And his only hope now is if Ricciardi's tyres go off towards the end of the race, or if Ricciardi has miscalculated his fuel, or of course if Ricciardi makes a mistake. We can never count that out, as Yusuf Masset does finally get past Van der Geest, but Van der Geest has got him back again.
This battle has literally been going for almost an hour and a half.
It really has.
It's actually quite impressive. That's Masset right over the back of Van der Geest. He's going to go to the outside, which is not the line you want to be on.
It's a 3-car battle, because you see that Salim behind. That's Kai Sivertsen.
Yep.
Now Masset sweeps around the outside of Van der Geest, and I think Sivertsen's going to get involved here. Sorry.
I was just saying, it's a nice move from Masset going around the outside there.
Totally, yeah. You're saying just now that hasn't worked for anyone yet. It has now.
Oh. Why has Van der Geest let him through?
I think he was trying to break the toe by going to the right hand side, although he did appear to back off.
He did. He went to the right hand side and backed off and let Sivertsen through.
It's the second time I've seen John Van der Geest do that today. First time was with Masset.
Oh!
Ah! Sivertsen's off! He's crashing across the track, he's going to be hit! He was hit by Thomas, and also, who was that? So Larry Thomas got involved, and
that was
Giacomo
Orlando that hit him. Yeah, Verlini.
Thomas just suddenly found himself with a car in his path, appeared to be caught like a rabbit in the headlights, didn't know which way to go, and went straight through him instead, and Thomas was just the unfortunate victim.
Verlini's got a bit of damage, I think.
Sivertsen may well, because he got a big clonk in the rear. You see his window is cracked. His windscreen rather.
Yeah, that was a big impact.
Don't think his steering's too badly damaged.
It seems fine.
However, he has lost 16 seconds to John Van der Geest and Yusuf Masset, and he's being lapped by Ricciardi and Talviti, who are still sticking together, interestingly. And I think that's probably because now that Ricciardi's got past Talviti, he knows he doesn't have to push quite as hard anymore.
Gap between Ricciardi and Talviti, their delta has gone up a lot. Well, the last lap it did. There's about 2 seconds, so I wonder if they were just...
Ricciardi's lap was almost 0.4 seconds slower.
Interesting. So I wonder if they were just lapping cars or something.
Still coming down in the first sector though. This is a very momentum-based track, so I suppose a mistake earlier could still be affecting him now. That's intriguing. Well, anyway, we'll keep an eye on that. I was wondering whether it was just that Ricciardi knew he didn't have to push so much anymore. But it may well be that Talviti is genuinely sticking with him, partially using the slipstream, partially... Maybe Ricciardi's tyres are starting to wear? It's very early for that to happen. I don't expect that to be the case.
You were saying earlier that you thought that Ricciardi might be on soft tyres with Talviti being in the hards, which would play into favour later on in the stint when Talviti's tyres are in better shape. But I've not really driven this car enough to really know if that's a thing, whether the tyres go off that much.
Anyway, the gap's still 8 tenths per second, so it came out by almost 2 tenths per second on that lap. That's what we were expecting to happen. What we weren't expecting to happen was last lap when Ricciardi dropped 4 tenths per second.
Yeah, very interesting. I think I've noticed with Talviti, just following the on-board with him, he takes such a narrow line compared to Ricciardi through turn 5, and Ricciardi can just get a massive launch onto the back straight, which helps him obviously quite a lot in terms of lap time.
Now I said earlier on that the Ferrari was the longest car. Looking at this Celine, I don't think that's the case. Very long, very flat curve from nose to tail. I expect that has a lot of stability, especially through the corners.
It's Bill Groocock in the chat asking if John van der Geest has damage.
Let's have a look at Van der Geest here. Well, we've seen him giving places to people twice in this race so far, and he does appear to be dropping back a little bit from Van der Geest. I don't see any suspension damage. He's certainly not pulling to one side. One thing that may be disconcerting him is the fact that his track map is the circuit to Catalunya, Barcelona. But I jest, of course. That won't be throwing him off at all.
This last lap actually wasn't great, to be honest. It was a 118 dead, which was one of the slower lap times in the field.
Maybe it's also distracting him that he's got an American flag in his cockpit when he is Dutch. I'm just making up weird excuses now. Pablo Finotti back into the pits. So Finotti's not having a great day, and he's going to drop even further back from the top 10. He's one of the drivers who I expected could challenge for the win today. But hasn't.
Yeah, he was having a fairly decent race earlier on, and then I don't know if he had a crash or a disconnection or something.
Probably a disconnection.
Yeah.
Since he came back into the race, and that's a clear sign of just a quick disconnect. I suppose we'll ask him in the forum after the race. Sorry, Mac.
Yep. Sorry. Gap between Ricciardi and Talviti is still hovering around the second.
Yeah,
Ricciardi,
it's remaining very stationary, isn't it?
Yeah, Ricciardi, once he got past, he just I don't know if he's backed off a little bit, but he's not managed to pull away.
Yeah.
Considering his lap times were in the late 15s, and they've now dropped to the 16s, mid 16s, so.
Well, we've got less than 9.5 minutes to go, so all Ricciardi's got to do is hold on until then, maintain that gap. Doesn't necessarily need to pull away because, as the cliche saying goes, you only need to win by 1,000ths of a second. A win's a win. And that's why Ricciardi just needs to keep his nose clean at this point in time and not give Talviti any opportunities to get back through. Because I tell you what, if you give Talviti half a chance, he will take it. Of course he will. He'll capitalise. Tony Talviti I know from racing against him in other series, is a he's a very clean competitor. Never tends to cause accidents. He runs carefully and quickly. Although I'd like to point out that I beat him in the NASCAR series the other day. But anyway, that's the end of my quick boast. I'm sure that you probably do not want to talk about that race, Mac. But anyway,
I didn't win it, but I had fun, so that's the main thing I look for.
good attitude, very, very good.
And yeah, Talviti he's very quick. I've had a lot of good races, probably commentated more races than I have actually raced him in, so yeah.
I should point out actually that talking about the NASCAR series, that reminds me to mention that SimRacingOnline isn't just this series that you see broadcasted. It isn't just the RSS GT1 series. We have a ton of different series across a ton of different racing platforms, which grammatically doesn't make sense because you can't weigh a racing sim. But whatever the case, we do races on Assetto Corsa, we do races on R-Factor 2, the original R-Factor, if that's your kind of thing, Automobilista. There are some other Project Cars too. That's another one that we do race on. So whatever your taste is in racing, whatever simulators you have, whatever cars you drive, we do them all. And in terms of whatever cars you drive, we have such a wide assortment. Currently we have touring car series going on, we have open wheel series going on, we have classic series, we have classic touring cars, we have classic single seaters, we have classic GT cars like these, we have modern GT cars, we have like literally everything. So if you're into sim racing of any form, you have no excuse not to get involved with SimRacingOnline.
And that is very interesting from Vinotti, setting 2 purple sectors on obviously new tyres.
Yeah, Pablo Vinotti, I'm expecting, is probably going to set one of the fastest laps of the race.
John Vandergeest is in the pits.
Just say that, Pablo Vinotti sets a 1:14.979. He's in the 1:14s. Goodness me. Vandergeest in the pits, so Vandergeest hasn't been able to last the entire way. And we saw him struggling just now, losing places. Through into 6th place has gone Sivertsen, so Sivertsen is going to still salvage a top 6 result. Vandergeest next in the pits, he's not going to lose a place to Eugenie, so Vandergeest only losing one position in that, I think, to Kai Sivertsen. Unless he dropped behind Mazda in that as well. I'm not sure whether he was ahead or behind him. Before that, I can't keep up with those two. I think he was behind.
I think it was just a quick splash and dash.
Looks like it, yeah, obviously knew that he wasn't quite going to be able to make it to the end. Meanwhile, the gap for the lead has come out. It's almost 1.5 seconds now.
Yep, it's grown to 1.6 seconds. Vinotti setting another purple sector, so he might even improve and go a bit faster.
Isaacs and Bellini side by side for 9th and 10th positions. Lower in the top 10. Bellini gets it for the time being. I think Isaacs was trying to slipstream past him on the straight. Vinotti just had an absolutely flying lap. Another one, not quite his best, but very, very close.
I think Vinotti is a lap behind the next driver, so I think this is just for fun at this point. Oh, who's that spun off the track?
Riccardi lost a lot of time. Riccardi has lost a lot of time. He lost about a second there. Did Riccardi have a quick off?
No. It was I think it was Dean Timms is stuck at the side of the track.
Oh yeah, Timms facing backwards.
I'm not sure what happened. I have no idea what happened up front, but the gap is half a second now. I wonder if Riccardi had a tangle or an altercation with a back marker.
It may have been Timms.
It could have been.
Putting 2 and 2 together, I expect Timms probably spun in front of Riccardi, causing Riccardi to back up or something like that. Of course, that's only speculation because I didn't see it, but that would certainly make sense. Whatever the case, that's put Riccardi and Talviti back together, but already Riccardi has started to extend his gap from Talviti. It's back up to a second.
Yep, I don't think Talviti is on the back of Riccardi right now, just half a second between or a second now. But yeah, 3.5 minutes left, so there's not much time really left in this race for Talviti to make a move. They're coming out to a few back markers. I'm not sure who that is. It's Verlini and Isaacs. Is this for position?
Yeah, that's for position. That's for 9th place. Isaacs just slipstream past Verlini in a straight line. We're watching that now on the live stream. Did he say the leaders are about to catch them?
Yes, I think they are.
Right. I think that's probably the second or third lap that they're going to put on this bunch. If they catch them in time, because we only have 3 minutes remaining in this race until we see the checkered flag. Yeah, they're going to catch them in time by the looks of things.
Yep. Riccardi is gaining on them by about a second, so yeah, should be 1 or 2 laps. So right at the end of this race, they should catch them.
2.5 minutes remaining in this race. And still Riccardi and Talviti separated by less than 1.5 seconds. Still it's anyone's game up front, but Talviti's going to have to work really, really hard if he's going to take that away from Davide Riccardi. Both of their last laps were relatively slow, actually. And Talviti's just a second behind Davide Riccardi. John Van Hees setting his personal best laps of the race. That's because he just pitted. Probably replaced the tyres. Go ahead with what you're about to say, Matt.
Yeah, I think Riccardi at this point, he's obviously not going to push 110%, obviously, because he's got track position, but yeah, that's why the times have dropped off a little bit. And they are pretty much at the end of this stint. Oh, Riccardi going... I almost think that Riccardi is going off the track there by how late he takes that second apex of turn 5. That's pretty crazy.
You have to be very brave to take that line, but it sets you up very, very nicely for the straight. So Riccardi obviously knows what he's doing to that extent. Well, of course he does. He's the reigning champion. We didn't race at Mosport last season. In fact, I believe we have an all-new calendar of tracks this season of racing.
Talviti in the pits.
Talviti's pitting! Oh my word! Talviti may lose second place in all of this. He's going to have to go for a splash and dash. Obviously misjudged it. And that's dramatic for Tony Talviti. Now, can Bally get him? Bally was about 44 seconds down. I'm not entirely sure how long a pit stop takes. Because it's only a splash, it probably won't be that long. But that is definitely going to be Talviti's last chance of winning this race gone.
That might explain why Talviti's pace wasn't there, because he might have been short shifting, trying to save a bit of fuel.
I expect he was, to be honest. Well, he's going to exit before Bally, so he's going to maintain second, and to be honest, that probably won't cost him any positions, excuse me, in the long run. But he's still going to be pretty annoyed about that, as we're on the final lap of this race.
Yep, and I think I just have to say Riccardi definitely deserved it. Definitely deserved the win today. He was leading early, had a good start. Talviti didn't have the best of starts. Yeah, Riccardi, just great pace, really good consistency. I don't think he's made any major mistakes.
Totally. Well, his only mistake, of course, was jumping over his pit box, but whatever the case, Davide Riccardi delivers a fantastic performance, crosses the line and wins. That is a brilliant, brilliant drive from Davide Riccardi. Tony Talviti is going to come through in second place, and the gap's going to be something like 23 seconds. Goodness me, that's a big margin in the end, but that really doesn't tell the whole story. It was a closer race than that through the majority of it. It was just a slight misjudgment from Talviti that cost him that time. Roberto Bally is going to claim the final podium position in third place, and I don't expect he would have come into this race expecting that position, so he has done a great job to claim it. So Roberto Bally in the Ferrari, first place Ferrari, finishes third overall. Across the line he goes. Well done to him. Johnny Gutierrez in the top lister crosses the line in fourth. and I don't think he achieved a 4th place last season, so that is a great performance from him. Of course, moving across from the Corvette, I believe. Yusuf Massad about to cross the line from 5th, in 5th position. Kai Sivertsen was 6th, John Van der Kies was 7th, a lap down, Javier Eugeni doing donuts in 8th. Steve Isaacs is about to claim 9th position, as into the wall goes Fellini on the last lap of the race. Now he's not going to lose a position in all of that because Finotti's already finished 11th, a lap down to him. But Fellini kicks the car into 1st gear again and crosses the line 10th place. Finotti was 11th, Steve O finishes 12th, 13th was Milliken, 14th was Timms, 15th was Thomas, and our 2 retirements were Phil Brown and Henri Miettinen. That was a dramatic race.
It really heated up a bit after the pit stops, didn't it?
Yeah, the first stages were relatively stagnant. There wasn't really that much going on, and there weren't any overtakes taking place. But we had that 3-wide chain with Ricciardi leading from, I believe it was Miettinen and Talviti. Unfortunately, Miettinen had a disconnection and wasn't able to fight for the win. Same thing happened to Finotti, who was running in 4th position, but he did recover to 11th position, so good job from him. But Ricciardi, after making a mistake in the pit lane and losing the lead, has absolutely delivered. He's come back from 5 or 6 seconds back to finish 21.950 seconds ahead of Tony Talviti in 2nd. Brilliant drive from Davide Ricciardi, and he well and truly deserves the championship lead.
Yep, well and truly deserves it, as you say. Good pace, good consistency, no mistakes, and yeah, should be an interesting season coming up.
Totally, I'm so looking forward to the next round of the championship. I'm just about to check actually where the next round of the championship is taking place because I closed my Google Chrome to not a sponsor, by the way, obviously, to make way for the stream data so it wouldn't buffer anymore. Anyway, the next round of the championship will be taking place at Virginia full course. It's a track that's very Marmite. Some people love it, some people hate it, but Virginia International Raceway will be the location of the next circuit, and that's going to be interesting because much like Mosport, there's just grass by the edge of the circuit, pretty much no runoff, and with the long sweeping left-right chicanes, it's going to be an interesting one. Later on in the calendar, we also have Oschersleben, Donington, Spa-Francorchamps, Suzuka, and Laguna Seca will round out this 7-round championship on December the 14th. Unfortunately, I'm not sure whether we are going to have a broadcast for the next 3 rounds of the championship. We will try to get a broadcast to you if we can, but I will be away and commentating other series, so I will leave you in the capable hands of whoever takes over from me. If they do, I'm not sure if Mac is going to be involved in that or not, but whatever the case, we will certainly sort that out if we can. But anyway, congrats to our podium finishers, congrats to our point scorers, congrats to our finishers, and thank you everyone for watching this event. Thank you as well to Max Shepard for commentating alongside me today. Do you have anything to say before the broadcast ends?
I'm just happy my throat survived that 1.5 hour experience.
Yeah,
but
congrats.
I hope everyone enjoyed watching that. It wasn't the best race I've ever commentated, but still fairly exciting at points. Some good tracks come up later in the calendar, so stay tuned for those coming up.
Great job anyway. We will see you in 2 weeks' time. Wait, is it 2 weeks or 1 week? Let me just check I've got that right. My apologies.
I think it's 2 weeks.
Okay, just want to double check that to get it right in case. Yeah, that would be very embarrassing. It is 2 weeks' time. I did get it right. Okay, I do know what I'm talking about. 2 weeks' time. See you then. Good night.